Hello.
Oh, hi. Sure.
How are you?
Oh, yeah, I'm pretty good. I have some good news from, if you want to talk after the stream. And yeah, I'm feeling alright today. How about you?
I'm okay. Yeah, I'm ready for the stream.
Nice. Good. Okay. Checking out this. It should be on the screen. Okay. Las Vegas. You're
Ooh la la.
yeah. It was one hell of a weekend. We have a lot of talk about, I'm pretty sure. So,
Well,
well,
I do want to start this with a disclaimer. I'm
Okay.
not getting up at 6 a.m. So everything I've watched has been the highlights.
okay. Yeah, I felt the same. I tried to wake up for the first and third practices as well, but my body just couldn't start up. So yeah, I just woke up for poly and practice two basically. It was very early in the morning. I think it was even earlier for you. It was like 1 hour earlier.
Yeah.
So you had quali on 8 and the race on 6. So that must have been difficult.
I was not. My brother woke up for it. I was not waking up for that.
Yeah, I completely understand that. Alright, shall we move on to the reaction thingy itself? Your general first thoughts on the weekend overall.
Crazy weekend. Not sure it went perfectly. We all knew there was going to be problems, new race, so on, as well as it being in one of the busiest cities in the world.
Yeah.
And very expensive to go to. I don't think it was incredibly done, but I think, and the racetrack is interesting, but I think it worked out just for them. Just about worked out.
Yeah. I definitely agree. It had some downsides, but in the end, I would rate it as a pretty decent Grand Prix overall, as we saw what happened in the both race. Obviously, we're not used to seeing drivers fight Red Bulls toe to toe for a win. That was something that was very exciting, as we're gonna talk about it later. Okay. I guess we can move on to the qualifying. Obviously, mentioning the practices. Practice 1 lasted 8 minutes. Practice 2 without the fans. So, yeah, very chaotic. We kind of expected Vegas to have some chaos with the track being new and the surface being new and everything about that. I don't think anyone expected the practice to end after 8 minutes.
No, exactly. This is the craziness I'm talking about. There's just some stuff that went a bit interesting, shall we say?
Yeah, it was very unlucky for Sainz in particular, because he had to change the entire car basically, getting himself a 10 places penalty.
Rule.
Yeah, in my opinion, that was completely undeserved. In my opinion, he shouldn't have gotten a penalty, but obviously, those are the rules, and until they change them, unfortunately, he had to take the penalties, even though they weren't very fair. And yeah, the damage was caused by the track itself, not by his driving. So yeah, unfortunate for Sainz, but he did pretty alright in the race. So good recovery.
Yeah, especially because he took a bunch of other penalties as well.
Yeah.
For new car parts. So he was starting way at the back, but I guess it was the Grand Prix to do that with such a long straight.
Yep. True. Okay. Where's the practice? Again, practice 1, yeah, was 8 minutes. Then they repaired the
They were a bit
surface,
worried that they couldn't do
nice.
practice 2 either,
Yeah,
because they were repairing the track, but
Yeah,
they managed to just about get it done on time.
yeah, practice U was um, it was a good time for Europeans. It was like just before launch time, so it was like alright. But there in Vegas, it was like from 2 to 4 a.m. or something like that. It was crazy.
Yeah, it was crazy.
Yeah, crazy to think. They had F1 cars, which are obviously we've been to the Grand Prix. We know just how loud those cars are, and imagine trying to sleep at 4 a.m. and just hearing
Yeah,
F1
I
cars.
just can't.
Must have been.
Imagine how terrible that was.
Yeah. Okay. Practice 2, obviously. Without the fans and 1.5 hours of track time, basically. I don't remember it being red flagged at any point. I think it
I
when
don't think it was, no.
yeah, practice 3 was red flagged towards the end. I actually didn't watch it, so I think it was Albon who crashed the wall, or I heard something like that. I'm not really sure.
Yeah, I think it was one of the Williams from memory.
Yeah.
Something happened with them.
Yeah. So practice 3 had.
This is the issue with watching just highlights. I don't remember as well.
Yeah, I haven't even watched the highlights. I just heard that. I just saw the results themselves. That's
Fair enough.
yeah, that's the first thing I checked when I woke up, like 10 minutes before qualifying. So yeah. Okay. Practice 3 ended with very strange top 3, being George Russell first, Piastri second, and Sargent third.
Which we'll get on to.
Yep.
We'll get on to the Williams.
Yep. Yeah, of course. I guess we shall move into the qualifying. So, obviously, we had some. There was still the big unknown factor in the qualifying. We didn't know who was going to be fastest. Obviously, we thought the Red Bull and Ferraris were the favorites, which obviously turned out to be true. But I mean, they didn't have it as easy as we anticipated, especially the Red Bulls, as we saw Perez out in Q2. I think it was Hamilton as well, so Mercedes not having the greatest weekend either. And I think the biggest talking point from qualifying is McLaren out in Q1, both of them.
Yeah, definitely. It was a weird race for McLaren. We'll get on to that, but it was probably their worst weekend since before Austria. So
Yeah,
definitely gonna be one, but maybe least impressive team later when we get to it. But yeah, not a good weekend for McLaren overall, and yeah, qualifying was the big one, but then it went worse and worse throughout.
yeah, agreed. McLaren should be in the shot for the leading team for sure. Being out in Q1 was also, I think, Stroll, then Zhou, and Tsunoda, I think. AlphaTauri having a trash weekend as well. And it's difficult to choose between McLaren and AlphaTauri, but at least McLaren sport points. But on the other hand, you expect McLaren to be better. So it's like
we'll definitely get to debating that at some point. Not that any of us chose either of those teams, so
yeah, it's gonna be less biased than usual, but yeah, very good. We'll get to that. Okay, starting Q2, obviously, Perez and Hamilton being the two big names, alongside them being like I think the two Hasses. Actually, I think Magnussen got into Q3, so it was just Hulkenberg, then Ricardo, and I don't remember the last one. What was him? I don't remember. It's yep. That was eventful qualifying. I don't remember the positions anymore. Okay, moving on to the Q3. Obviously, we can start with the predictions themselves. Ferrari 1-2 in qualifying. Obviously, Sainz had to take the penalties, so unfortunately he didn't start P2. But we had in qualifying Ferrari 1-2 pretty dominant as well. Like Verstappen was like 3 or 4 times behind. Just We don't really,
yeah.
we don't really tend to see that this season.
No, we have not seen anything like that before. But you know, it was interesting. It was interesting to see Red Bull have found a track where perhaps they were the lesser car on. Obviously, Singapore is a big shout for how terrible they were there. And we had talked about it. We had talked about the similarities between this race and Singapore, and what we thought would happen. And it wasn't too dissimilar. This race, Singapore and Italy, was the races we were comparing and contrasting. And yeah, it kind of did happen that way. So it'll be interesting to see. I don't expect it to change anything for Red Bull because they've been so dominant. But I guess for Abu Dhabi, they might be a bit worried that they'll probably not get the double again.
Yeah. Okay. I think I fixed your audio. I think you're a bit too quiet. It should be much better. Yeah, I agree with what you said. I think I expressed the similarities between this and Monza the most. I don't think Singapore as much. Maybe the low speed parts of this track remind me of Singapore, but obviously Singapore was in very different conditions. It was very humid, very hot, and here it was the opposite. It was pretty cold, to say the least. I don't think it was the coldest race ever, but it was pretty cold. I don't remember the exact temperature. I think it was below 10 degrees, right?
Yes, I believe. Yeah, I think it was quite cold.
Yeah, actually the combination of the track layout and the conditions made Ferrari probably the best car over the weekend. Obviously, Ferrari's being so far ahead in qualifying, but Red Bull closing the gap in the race as usual, being the well. This time, I think they were pretty much equal in terms of pace of the Ferraris and Red Bulls in the race. So yeah, the gap in the race pace kind of equal because the Ferraris were so far ahead in qualifying. So yeah, some very interesting race that we're going to talk about later. Qualifying, pole position, Charles Leclerc, very good performance from him, even though he said it was pretty bad lap. And yeah, getting pole lap and being not happy about the lap is just Charles Leclerc things at this point.
Yeah, definitely big calls from you, big calls, and you sort of ace this weekend. So we'll get on to a few of your other picks.
Yep.
But yeah, big calls straight away. Now Sainz was second, I believe. Yeah. Sainz did actually finish second.
Yeah, Sainz got second in qualifying, but penalties brought it down to P12. So.
But I believe we have had set the precedent that if you're correct, you're still correct. You still win the point.
Yep. Do we agree to that in the US?
Yeah, I think there was a race that we set that precedent in. So yeah, you've got the point there as well.
Yep. You both went with Max and Norris. Well, just switch around. Norris being I think Q1 didn't help you obviously, and Max. Yeah, the Red Bull didn't have enough speed to challenge for the front row.
No, definitely not. Well, we'll get on to challenging for the race. You did get another point because you have a Verstappen pick.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, it wasn't qualifying. It was started P2 in the race, so that's a lucky one. Putting Max in P3, getting a point for it. That's pretty lucky considering this season.
I think that's the first time someone's put him somewhere else and he got a point for it. So, and then I believe the rest of us is just red. We were very close, both of us, on our Albon pick.
Yeah. Unfortunately, it was the last second one. The Gasly go like P4.
Yeah, unfortunately, but though we were pretty good overall.
Pretty decent. You had both were going to go 4, obviously hit the wrong spots, unfortunately, but yeah. I think it was a pretty good job from us. I obviously got like the most. Points
I think this is the most someone's got in a single session, if that makes sense. I don't think
I
anyone's got that many right for like.
Yeah, I got the same
No.
amount for US Grand Prix qualifying as
Yeah,
well.
you did. Yes, yeah, and they were different positions. So,
Yeah.
but like for a top three as well, to perfectly predict the top three is very impressive.
Yep. On the other hand, my P4, I mean, out in Q1, that wasn't the best. But yeah, album pick very close. Obviously, Williamses were really quick in qualifying. I think I would say they were the most impressive team of qualifying, but when it comes to the race, we saw them having like zero pace. Which is unfortunate, seeing Williams starting P5 and 6, getting no points.
Yeah, very disappointed for Williams. We'll get onto that. We will get onto that.
Yeah.
It was really on them.
Yeah. Okay.
Which is the worst part, especially for me and my predictions. But we will get to that.
Yeah. I see it. Most impressive team we have, but it didn't really work out. Anything else notable for qualifying? I think the Gasly B4 is a thing to note as the Alpines. I mean, I don't think anyone expected the Alpines to be especially quick on this track, considering the similarities between this and Monza and Singapore, where obviously Alpine didn't. I mean, they did alright in Singapore, but in Monza they were atrocious. So here, seeing them good in on such a track with long straights and well, not too many corners, that was very impressive from Gasly. Yeah, similar thing to the Williams is in the race, but we're gonna talk about it later.
Yes.
Anything else from qualifying?
I will say, yeah, no. A quick mention. Obviously, Albon got sick, but we do need to mention Lawson with a P8, which was very impressive.
Lawson?
Not Lawson.
Bottas.
Sorry. I've confused the drivers. I am thinking of Sargent.
Yes, Sargent. Okay, that was P7.
At his home track as well. Was he P9?
He was right behind Albon, so P7 in qualifying.
Yeah, no, but he qualified P8 because Sainz.
No, he qualified P7, but he started in 6th because of Sainz.
Oh yeah.
So
Wait, I'm confused.
the Williams started on the 3rd row. I'm pretty sure about that. They started 5th and 6th.
I thought there was a car between them, but you might be right. Well, you are right. Anyway. So yeah, big shout out to him, especially his own Grand Prix. I think Mercedes didn't have a great qualifying session. They sort of seem to have given up on the car.
Yeah.
But also keep saying that they haven't. So it's going to be interesting, especially since we'll see how they do at the big one, the big decider for second place in the constructors.
Yeah.
Can Hamilton still be caught by either of them as well?
Yeah, Hamilton. Yeah, qualified qualified.
No.
Russell qualified P4.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, Russell did well. I meant, can Hamilton be caught point-wise for them?
No. I mean, you got a Mercedes and wait. You got Mercedes in the race, not in qualifying.
No, unfortunately, yeah. Sainz is on 200 points, 32 behind Hamilton. I meant in the championship, because I know the constructors is going down to final day. Wow, Sainz has very much got a lot more points than Charles.
Yeah, it's like 18 points between them, or 12.
12.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that is a point. The battle for 4th place is going to be massive.
4 drivers in there, I think.
Well, yeah, Sainz and Alonso on 200, Lando Norris on 195, and Charles Leclerc on 188. So that's going to be a big final race.
Yeah, it's especially interesting coming to the last race, having all the championships sealed like many races ago, we still have something exciting like to look forward to this last race. I don't think Abu Dhabi is like too bad of a track after the changes. Obviously, we saw them first in 2021, which was a race on its own, but yeah, I think the track changes helped a bit. Obviously, 2022 wasn't the best race either. It was like, I think we had the same thing as Charles and Perez fighting for P2 in the championship. That was like the entire thing. So yeah, okay. Back to Las Vegas. I think we mentioned everything in qualifying. Obviously, AlphaTauri and McLaren's being awful. Mercedes being pretty mid, just like in Brazil, and yeah, Ferrari's being very strong. So yeah, okay, qualifying. I think that's pretty much it. Then we have the race itself. Do we want to start with the start of the Grand Prix and all the chaos that unfolded in the turn 1?
Yes. Let's jump on that real quick.
Okay.
Because I'm going to make a claim here.
Okay.
Because I'll need it for later. I'll need it for a debate we'll have later on.
Right. I think I'm starting to think about which point exactly, but okay.
Okay.
You can explain the start, I think, if you remember. Obviously, if you don't remember it as well, I can try.
No. So the start basically off the line, you have the Verstappen, the lovely Verstappen. Leclerc, there you go. Drag race, but it's more that behind them that's the actual craziness.
Yeah.
Because whilst basically the huge thing was Verstappen sort of pushes Verstappen off the track. Leclerc, sorry, yeah, exactly. Thank you. I keep forgetting his name.
You said Verstappen pushed off Max. I was like,
yeah. Max pushes Leclerc off the road, which relegates him to P2, and basically from that, Verstappen gets a 5-second penalty. Doesn't need to give back the place.
That was stupid. I think. I think that was straight up like you give the position back or get the 5 seconds, and I don't think Red Bull were like told to get back to position, which was very weird.
I think I think it was maybe during the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix, or it was afterwards, the famous Abu Dhabi Grand Prix, let's be honest. They came up with the rule that you decide to either give the position back as a team, they're not going to instruct you to, or 5-second penalty.
Yeah, that's.
I think they have implemented that in the rules.
That's a very weird one. Obviously,
it didn't matter because Leclerc did catch up eventually and pass him, but it also didn't matter because, as we'll talk about later, circumstances did give Verstappen basically, including Leclerc himself, did give Verstappen the dub. What I wanted to talk about was actually behind them, because obviously that was the big controversy. But meanwhile, a certain Spanish driver, manages to spin his own car, causing chaos at the back.
Yeah. Go on.
There was a lot of other incidents. But so coming into the first corner, Alonso goes for a ambitious overtake on a lot of cars. He passes pretty much. I think he gets past Hamilton and I'm going to call him Lawson again, Sargent, and manages to spin. Hamilton brakes, which punts Perez into him. Alonso also manages to almost take out one of the McLaren, it was the Williams. He almost managed to take out.
Yeah.
All whilst this is happening, there is a little tag
from Science, I'm pretty sure, on I think I can't remember what drive it was.
I think you're thinking of Bottas.
Maybe it was Bottas. It was someone. Science tags also spins, getting in the way. This is the reason this is so crazy of an explanation is because it's pretty much how crazy the thing was. I forgot to mention that someone just slams into Alonso. They can't really escape him. And yeah, that was basically the start of the race. It was crazy. It's absolutely insane, and I don't think anyone retires from it, do they?
No. I think the closest one was Sainz. Obviously, had to catch up. It was like he was profited from the safety car a lot.
Yes, yeah. Well, a lot of drivers profited and lost from this safety car. We will get to.
Yeah. I think there were 2 safety cars. The first one at the start and second one.
Yes.
But yeah, obviously during the race.
2 drivers managing to lose it is kind of crazy. So yeah. And one driver, I will say, Science is it is Science's fault. I will say he sort of slams into the back. I think it was Hamilton, wasn't it, that he actually hits?
Not
maybe
sure.
It was Hamilton. And then spins, but it was still his fault.
I think Sainz hit Bottas, who was obviously blocked by Alonso facing the wrong way, and that was the shot of like Alonso and Bottas being like their front wings touching. that was a very funny shot.
They do a little kiss.
Yeah, I think the kiss was the Sainz hitting Bottas in the rear, and then they spun out from the contact with Bottas, and then it was
Perez hits an Alpha from memory.
Oh
no, it was Hamilton. He hits Hamilton. Science. I've gone and watched replayed.
So
Science slams into the side of Hamilton and spins.
Okay, so this he gets spun out by his contact with Hamilton into Bottas, who hits Alonso again because of side hitting him. Yeah, it was a crazy start. That was
absolute craziness. And then 3 laps later, we have the Norris incident. So it was really the start of the race was insane.
Yeah, I think Norris brought out the safety car on lap 1 or lap 2. So
3, I think. No, it's 3 that he.
3? Lap 3?
Yeah.
Okay. So it was.
He also manages to. I wouldn't say it was so much his fault rather than maybe the track's fault, but also manages to lose it.
Yeah, that was a very, very strange crash. Losing it like that in a pretty much straight line, because the turn didn't really count as a turn. Very, very, very strange. Obviously, it wasn't looking like a big crash on anything. It was just Lando hitting the wall and then just sliding into the barriers in the runoff area. But Lando looked like pretty hurt by the accident.
He did look in a good way.
Obviously, has sent into the hospital for checks, all kinds of checks. Fortunately, he's fine, and there were no any severe injuries there. So, yeah, good for Lando, even though he retired. He's not having any problems from it. Obviously, apart from him being on the back foot when it comes to the P4 championship. We're going to talk about it in the Abu Dhabi predictions. So yeah, very bad weekend for McLaren overall. Piastri, I think he got from P18 where he started. He was P3, 1.5 seconds behind the lead, coming to the middle of the race. From P18 to being 1.5 seconds behind the leader is pretty impressive. But obviously he had to pit because of the safety car. He changed to the hard tires again, so he went from hards to hards. So obviously had to change to different tire compound, and that resulted in him pitting 8 laps to go. I think he got like P9
I think it was
with
10.
P10.
Yeah, I think P10.
Yeah, he overtook Gasly for the P10. I don't know. I think he stayed there. So that means 2 points for McLaren. Very bad weekend considering just they're getting podiums every single race up until this point, basically. So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely. Beyond that, you then had you had a lot of overtakes, in the midfield. That our first bit of sort of drama was when Leclerc finally managed to overtake Verstappen again.
Yeah, I don't think anyone saw it coming. Like when we saw Max with a 2+ second lead after like 3 laps, I don't think anyone really expected that to be like. Well, I think everyone at that point just Max is gonna win another Grand Prix, whatever. Leclerc just actually closed the gap, overtook him on like lap 16, I think.
Yeah.
And Max immediately went to for a pit stop. Obviously had a 5-second penalty, so fell behind Russell, who undercut him. I think Russell went to the pits 1 lap earlier, so he got an undercut on Max.
Well, I was going to say we had the war of Mercedes because Hamilton had an issue which made him go extremely slow around the track, and then we had the Verstappen Russell issue. These two cannot fight each other evidently.
Yeah.
Because anytime they seem to touch. It's a contentious one because no one expects to overtake on that corner. But Verstappen was there the whole time, and I really do think it probably goes to Russell's fault. Yep. Not that the corner really helps anyone in that point of view.
Yeah.
Where they
probably.
Yeah.
Okay, you continue, please.
Well, I was going to say it's one of those incidents. I think it is on Russell. He does get the 5-second penalty for it. Or does he get 10? I can't remember.
He got 5. Pretty sure he got
5. There you go. And it was no one expected that anyone to overtake there. The corner was not designed for it, but Verstappen was there, so Russell sort of had to give way and didn't. I do think it was the right decision in the end.
I think it definitely was Russell's fault when it comes to the crash between them. Obviously, it was a difficult corner for George to see Max in his mirrors. So, it could have been like a dead angle, or just George not expecting Max to dive on in such a different. It's not a corner when you usually overtake. Obviously, there's a long back straight just after it, and the DRS detection point is like in the first quarter of it. So if Max would try to the overtake and Russell would actually give him space, he could have had a switchback move and then just slipstream into the DRS and overtake Max back, which obviously would be bad for Max. But I think Max got the ideal scenario here. Russell crashed into him. Like, he just turned in. Max obviously couldn't move anywhere. Russell damaged his car. The only thing I think that was damaged on Max's car was the front wing end plate, which obviously was just gone and didn't really affect the pace that much. So he got the position. I think
he might have helped it.
Yeah, he got the position. Russell didn't fight back because obviously he was just after the crash. Obviously, Russell was pretty lucky to not crash into the wall after that. Like, I think he needed to go into the runoff area or like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I almost got a point there if Russell would, if the crash would be a bit different and Russell would end up in a wall, I could have got a point there. For the extra wall
I didn't even consider that,
So, Russell's fault there. Unfortunately, he finished like 1 place behind Hamilton, obviously, because the gaps were so small behind him after a safety car. So,
Well, it did bring out the safety car, which was interesting because it brought Perez into the mix after such a bad start, and really changed the leaderboard a lot. Leclerc also decided not to pit, which was quite interesting.
I think
Verstappen obviously had to, but right, just because everyone behind him pit, he might have took the opportunity to, but it did it changed everything up a little bit.
You're completely right. That was the safety car in the middle of the race, which obviously it wasn't just Perez who was prone to the race. Obviously, we saw Piastri up there.
Yes.
From like P18, Ocon from P16, suddenly next to Gasly, who started P4.
Yeah.
So
those two had a lot of scraps together for a few laps.
Yeah. Also, I think Albon was one of those drivers who got up because he dropped out of the points pretty quickly, as well as Sargent, and then after a safety car he was like P9, but then they made a mistake, and well, if you get overtaken in Williams, you cannot really overtake back. So unfortunately, no points for Williams. Because to Alpine, I think Gasly's tires were just gone towards the end. Obviously, he had some battery issue as well, so that might have affected the performance as well. Very unfortunate because Alpines were, well, they had one of their best weekends this year because they had both drivers up there like P4, P5. Just considering just how the track shouldn't suit them, I think Alpine could have been the most impressive team, even despite Ocon qualifying P6 and because of the qualifying incident with Max. Alpine could have been up there. Unfortunately, they only got one guy up there. Ocon P4 from P16. That was one hell of a performance. Obviously, overtaken by Russell in the end, but Russell had a penalty. And that was the midfield. Our midfield when it comes to front runners, obviously, we saw Perez being right behind Leclerc because Leclerc didn't pit. If he did pit, I think Perez would still be first, right? Because Perez had before the safety car because he pitted on like lap 3 or whatever was the first safety car. He was one of the people who got damaged from turn 1. So Perez was running new tires than Leclerc. Obviously, Leclerc couldn't defend as much. Perez overtook him after a few attempts because of the tire advantage. Then it was actually at least it was me personally. I thought Perez would have a pretty I wouldn't say easy, but he had the best chance to win the race at that point, being ahead of Leclerc and ahead of Verstappen. Like he had Leclerc would obviously try to defend from Max so he could like pull away, but that was the thing that Perez couldn't. Leclerc stayed in the DRS. Send one hell of a dive bomb into the turn 15, was it? That was the second last turn, basically before the start-finish straight. So yeah, that was the first dive bomb on Perez from Leclerc in that race. He got back into the lead, which obviously meant Perez basically lost all the confidence at that point. Just dropped behind Leclerc. Max braced past him because he got a better exit. And then it was the familiar scene of Leclerc being ahead of Max with all the tires with the Ferrari and against the Red Bull. That was a few lap battle, but then Max just overtook Leclerc, and well, we didn't really expect Leclerc to fight back with all the tires. Perez was catching up to Leclerc, obviously overtook him as time went on. Then the overtake on Leclerc wasn't an overtake because Leclerc made a mistake at the runoff area before the launch back straight, so Perez could get past. Obviously, that was a lockup, so Leclerc got his tires even more damaged than into the final few laps. Leclerc actually closed up to Perez, but couldn't overtake him. So he charged up his batteries, analyzed where Perez was slow. Obviously, it was the braking zone. after final back straight, so he absolutely sent it the second time that race on Perez at the same spot on the last lap, getting the P2, and in my opinion, getting driver of the day. But that's just my bias, probably. I mean,
He did drop a position. It is notable.
that I think that was mostly due to the strategy and Red Bull's just Max the season being inevitable.
I'm trying to think. I mean, you're probably right. There is a few other, like Science is a whole thing is pretty good, but only sixth.
Science was
Lance Stroll finishing fifth. I mean, it's Lance Stroll.
I mean, obviously we're gonna talk about the midfield after leaders.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah. Okay. I think the most least impressive thingies we're gonna leave that after the race. Okay.
But
So-
shall we jump into our points, or are you going to do midfield?
Yeah, we should probably do midfield because there's a lot of talk about.
Go for
Obviously,
it.
We mentioned the top three, which obviously ended up in Max, Leclerc, Perez podium, and it was Ocon P4. Obviously, it was Russell before the penalty, but yeah, Russell. George had the opportunity to beat Hamilton fair and square after a while, because it's been a really difficult season for George, and this race was the opportunity to get a bit of catch up. But I mean,
Momentum into next season.
it was like it could be a statement to like say that I'm still like not gone, that I can fight Lewis next season or whatever. And yeah, he just followed it, crashed into Max, and unfortunately finished right behind him. It was like because of the penalty, so he finished like a few tenths behind Hamilton, which is like very comedic. So yeah, okay. Behind Ocon is always Stroll, you mentioned, from like P's. I think he got out in Q1 as well, Stroll. Okay. So another Q1 exit to very good position in the race, obviously helped by the safety car, but it's still very impressive from Stroll. Finished P5, especially considering just the very eventful race that Alonso had ever since the start. So yeah, the one Aston being more impressive is Stroll this time, which is interesting to see. Behind Stroll, obviously, Hamilton and Russell. Then it was who was the P8?
I believe it was.
Alonso.
It wasn't shocks. P8 was no wait.
Oh, actually,
no,
Sainz
sorry.
was ahead of Mercedes, right?
Yeah, Sainz was P6.
So Sainz
7 was Hamilton, 8 was Russell,
Okay.
9th was Alonso, and 10th was Piastri.
Okay, thank you. I was a bit confused.
No worries.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you very much. That means Sainz P6. Yeah. Hamilton, Mercedes P7, P8, Alonso P9. Considering just where Stroll was, I think that was pretty bad from Alonso. Just the entire start. Like, obviously we talked about it already, but that was something we don't really tend to see from Alonso. And his racecraft just spinning out on his own and causing all that chaos in the start. So, okay. Behind Alonso, notable mentions, I don't think there are. Gasly P11 from P4, that was, unfortunate from Gasly. P12 was Albon, I think. Another unfortunate race. Didn't really have the pace in the Williams to get points this time, so.
No, their one lap race was pretty good.
Yeah, one lap pace was
Yeah, I definitely think for Gasly and Albon, and to a lesser extent Sargent, it's a disappointing race considering everything that happened in quali.
Yeah. I don't think there was anything interesting after that. It was like the Hasses, the Alfa Romeos, and stuff. Just the regular midfield, so nothing really much to talk about there. Yeah. Also, we saw two DNFs coming to like pretty late on. We had Hulkenberg going to the runoff area, just like sliding behind the wall so it wouldn't even cause a virtual safety car. Then Tsunoda in the exact same turn, just going the exact same way. Like two cars DNFing didn't cause even a single yellow flag. That was interesting. Yeah, I think that's about it from the race perspective. If you want to mention anything else, anything?
Interesting first race.
Yeah, interesting first race in Vegas. Okay,
that's all I could think of.
Yeah. Okay. Race points. Okay. First place, we got the points over Banana. I mean, I don't think Banana was expecting to catch up, but he's falling even far behind, even more and further behind.
Unfortunately so, yes. Unfortunately so.
Yeah. Okay.
We then got more points.
Yeah, more points for us. Leclerc P2, or obviously their overtake on the last lap helped us a lot. Yeah, very impressive from Leclerc to, well, I think that was I wouldn't say for the first time this season, but that was the one chance that someone would buy the Red Bull to the Grand Prix win like that closely and come out on top. But unfortunately, yeah, we saw
his little mistake maybe it probably didn't cost him the win, but he might have had a chance at it without when he broke himself.
I don't think he would really challenge Max. Max was pretty comfortably
Yeah, it's still, he caught up with Max on the final stint of one. I'm just thinking maybe a chance there gone begging, but
I don't think Max would slow down to give Leclerc the toe like he did to Perez, which meant the gap reduced by like 2.5 seconds. So, yeah.
I'm just thinking.
Yeah.
If he could have actually challenged to the win, maybe without that mistake, but as you say, it probably would have gone down differently.
Yeah, I really doubt it. That was obviously one very, very rare moment of Max actually helping his teammate by slowing down by like 2.5 to 3 seconds, giving Perez kind of a distant toe, slipstream kind of to help him, because Perez obviously was running the more loaded rear wing, so he had the worst top speed. Didn't help in the end because obviously for the overtake by Leclerc, that was pretty crazy. Yeah, that Leclerc overtake at the last lap also caused Banana to not get a point for Leclerc and P3. Another unfortunate for him. Yeah, Sainz P3 was nowhere near, even though he could have gotten a podium if not for the stupid train cover in practice one. Very unfortunate for Sainz.
Yeah, definitely.
Norris obviously DNFing after qualifying P16 or P17. Just a horrible weekend for Norris, and we want to forget. Obviously going to the last race, that should suit McLaren way more. P4, Norris no, neither was Hamilton, neither was Perez, so yeah, no points here either, even though Perez was probably the closest because he got P3, but yeah, P4 was in reality Ocon didn't really wasn't anywhere near close Perez in the end, so yeah. Okay, P5 same thing, Perez being here, no points for us, and Sainz was one position off for Banana, another very close one, but no points again. Yeah, Banana being a pointless so far. Okay. Most impressive driver. Finally, we're here. Do you have any better suggestions than Charles Leclerc?
No. I'm waiting to give it you.
Okay, let's.
Ocon did well.
Yeah, when we talk about the most
Across the
impressive driver,
weekend.
across the weekend, obviously we had some crazy performances in the race like Ocon and Stroll, but
Yeah,
over the entire weekend, Charles was just crazy, crazy good. Like that was the one street track plus Ferrari plus long straights, just the perfect combo for Leclerc to thrive in. Unfortunately, it wasn't the race win, but yeah, P2 still very, very good, very good amount of points, and only 12 points behind P4 in the standings. He could very well get P4 if the other three have pretty bad races.
it'd have to be it'd be a bit of a shock, but yeah, it's possible.
It's he got himself into the striking distance, so good for him. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. When it comes to the other drivers, we picked Albon, obviously, very good in qualifying, one of the best drivers in qualifying, to say the least. Yeah, in the races, Williams didn't really have the pace. Obviously, had the mistakes, which meant he couldn't even do the Williams thing, which would be just keeping everyone behind. So yeah, unfortunately, Albon not the most impressive.
I'm going to end up being quite unlucky here, I will say. That should be green.
Yeah, sorry.
I feel like Williams and Albon, they're so close to. I could have had a perfect weekend with them, but unfortunately not.
Yeah, he was looking very, very good after qualifying, starting P5 in the race. They're pretty much like a P5, P6 with Sargent for first couple of laps, but then just the Williams just started getting overtaken by everyone.
They seem to struggle with the DRS, I will say.
Yeah.
When it's them on their own, but when they're in the dirty air, they struggle a lot more. But when it's on them on their own, they're incredible.
Yep.
One lap pace is very good for them.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, okay. Norris from Banana, obviously, one of his worst weekends this year, and nothing really much to talk about there. Are there any picks for the most impressive driver other than Charles? Obviously not being the most impressive driver, but up there, top 5. You would
I'd
pick.
say Ocon.
Okay.
It was one hell of a performance to get to where he did. Obviously, he got a bit of luck, but I still think he did incredibly. So I think he's a shout. I don't think anyone else though. I really don't. You could say Stroll, compared to his teammate, this has got to be his best ever race. But I think Stroll is between Leclerc and Ocon to me, and I think you make a good point about across the weekend. So I'll give it Alonso. I'll give it Leclerc.
Yeah. Okay, I don't think I have any other picks either. It was just, Max, obviously, I don't think him getting P3 in qualifying if he won in the race is the most impressive. Just average Max weekend winning another race this season. So he's always impressive. You can really give him to Max. So yeah, Charles being the most obvious pick. Okay, coming to the least impressive driver. I think there are quite a few picks for this one, at least from the back of my mind. Obviously, any obvious picks from your side?
I think I was correct.
Alonso?
Yeah.
Okay. Summing up Alonso's weekend, we have a P10 in qualifying, pretty mid for Aston. Obviously, Stroll out in Q1 wasn't the biggest indication of Aston's pace, but still, we expect Alonso to be at least P7, P8 territory when Stroll gets out in Q1. And Alonso actually looked pretty decent throughout the qualifying. It was just the Q3 that didn't really work out for him.
Yes.
Okay. On the race. Okay.
The main point is his race.
I wanted to just go into obviously restart, horrendous restart, spinning out, blocking 2 other drivers, and
on his own.
Yeah, on his own. No other
He
No,
does not get touched at all. It is fully Alonso.
Yeah. Also running the race of, for example, Bottas, who obviously got an amazing qualifying for Alfa Romeo in P8.
Yeah.
So, yeah, ruining other drivers' race, ruining his own race. I mean, finishing P9 isn't too bad, but considering just how good his last race was and where his teammate finished. The
His
Aston could have-
teammate is the big thing, right? His
Yeah.
teammate is the huge thing for me. Obviously, he wasn't that far behind. He was only about 5 seconds. But finishing behind Lance Stroll when you're Fernando Alonso.
when Stroll started P17 as well.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
That's the big call for me. There's other ones. You'd obviously mention Norris, but mitigating circumstances.
yeah, I mean, McLaren seemed like the second slowest car this weekend. When when it came to the qualifying in the race, obviously Piastri was a bit more pacey, but still wasn't anywhere near. Like we saw Piastri being right behind the top two after a safety car, and then just top three after a safety car, and yeah, didn't really keep up with them at all.
I can't really say Sonoda or Hulkenberg. I don't think it's particularly on them either.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's sort of the usual suspects at the back. I mean, it was a good weekend for Kevin Magnussen getting 13th.
Yeah, 13th for Haas is actually pretty good. Which is funny to say. Like,
yeah.
Yep. Whenever go
ahead. Go ahead.
Whenever
go ahead.
whenever Haas gets a point, it feels like a win for them, honestly.
Yeah, definitely.
So
Definitely.
It's just be 13th in Haas is good considering we had 2 DNFs, I think, right? Tsunoda and Hulkenberg, so that means 5 cars behind him in the finish line. Pretty impressive for Haas. And the qualifying, obviously, he had the new car, which obviously seemed like the better one. Hulkenberg opting for the old spec from the earlier in the season. Didn't really work out on this track. I think Magnussen maximized his car here, but still, not most impressive driver by any stretch of imagination. So, yeah, back to the least impressive. Alonso, obviously, ruining Aston big double point finish, which could have been obviously. I think Alonso could have finished P4, but also there's this one thing that he blocked Sainz at this start as well, and we could have seen Sainz being up there with the top 3 maybe after safety cars. So technically, Alonso.
It also affected Perez's race as well.
Yeah, that's true. But Perez got into the race.
On the positive, actually, for Perez. So maybe.
Yeah. So.
Because Perez went longer because of the first crash.
Yeah.
So maybe actually he could have got P3.
Yeah.
We'll never know. We'll never know.
Yeah. What I want to say is that I think realistically, considering just the pace of Red Bulls and Ferraris over the entire race distance, is obviously we probably expect the Russell Verstappen to crash to happen anyway. So considering the safety car in the middle of the race and the entire start thingy not being caused by Alonso, I think that was a P5 finish on the around P5, right? Where Stroll finished. So finishing P9 behind Stroll, who started from obviously back bottom 5. I mean, yeah, I cannot think of anyone with more least impressive driver than Alonso other than Norris, but I don't know. We saw Piastri being pretty decent in the race. Obviously, we unfortunately had to pit towards the end, but still, Piastri had the pace, and we know Norris is probably the faster driver right now. Piastri has a lot of time to develop and stuff. We still see that Lando is the better driver, so maybe Lando could have had the pace for a top 5 finish as well, which obviously we wouldn't know because he crashed so early on. Yeah, it's difficult to choose between these two, but I think I could give you the point here just based on Lando. That crash, I think that was more on the track side, because when you look at the crash, he hits the bump that unsettles his car and just strands him sideways into the wall. I don't know what driver, even Max. I don't think anyone would be able to catch that. Well, catch that bump slide or whatever. It's just very unfortunate for Norris. I'm glad he's all safe and without any injuries. Yeah, unfortunate weekend for Norris. Just in the qualifying, don't think the McLaren had too much of pace. So yeah, maximize in qualifying, probably race. We don't know. Alonso in qualifying was pretty mid, and in the race itself even worse. So over the entire weekend, when we average things out, it goes to Alonso.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I think the honestly, just the spin on itself. I think the spin and finishing behind Stroll ends up being Alonso. These ones, I think we can probably head through quickly. I don't think any of us got points. Actually, no, you might get points for most impressive team.
Oh yeah, I forgot. I forgot for most impressive team. I don't think they've done anything too bad other than not pitting Leclerc during the safety car, but we don't really know if they had any fresh tires or if they wouldn't.
Exactly, yeah.
Because they would get behind Perez at that point with pretty much the same tire compound, and they didn't know if they could overtake Perez and win the race and keeping Max behind. I think that was actually pitting Leclerc under the safety car would be pretty big risk. I think it was a good play from Red Bull, but
Yeah.
I don't think it was much of a mistake from Ferrari than just not taking the risk. Yeah, in that situation, it was. Yeah. Williams obviously qualifying, definitely not in the race not anywhere near. So AlphaTauri obviously trash in both qualifying and the race.
Do we chuck the only contender again? Is I'm going to say Alpine.
Yeah, Alpine. If Gasly would have stayed up there, I think they would get the point over Ferrari. Just being P4 and P5 with an Alpine.
Yeah,
but
there you go. I
unfortunately,
agree with that.
Unfortunately, Gasly had that issue with his battery, which obviously was caused by the power unit, which was designed by, well, part of Alpine's being the Renault power unit. So technically it was on team not being able to finish 4-5. Instead they finished 4-11. Still, I think this one was more on Ocon having a great race than Alpine being the most impressive team. So in my opinion, it probably should be Ferrari. I don't think anyone, any other team.
I agree.
Okay.
Hit the check mark.
Yeah. Getting all the points.
Worst team.
Okay, least impressive team.
I think it has to go to McLaren, doesn't it?
It's between McLaren and AlphaTauri, in my opinion. But McLaren, I think we expect more from McLaren than just the.
Yeah, I expect them to be the second quickest car each weekend. So the fact they weren't. Maybe third quickest at push, but I never expect them to drop behind both Mercedes and Ferrari at this point in the season.
Yep. Okay. Mercedes obviously not being the greatest team, but still they got P7 and P8, which was pretty
they're
good.
getting lucky. They're getting lucky this week.
They got lucky, but still apart from Russell, Hamilton, even though he started like pretty far behind and got the contact with Piastri, breaking his actually he got a puncture, I think. So yeah, pretty good comeback drive from Hamilton to P7, obviously helped by Russell's penalty. I think Hamilton was also the driver with the most overtakes during the entire race, like with 15.
Makes sense.
It's crazy to think.
Do they have the overtake championship this season?
Good damage limitation by Mercedes, but I think realistically speaking, I think Russell had the pace for P4, which would obviously be better, but still getting P7 and P8 instead of P4 and P8, I don't think that's deserving of the least impressive team. So this one has to go to McLaren.
Update: Perez has the most overtakes
Does he?
with 95. Russell has 81, and Hamilton has 73.
Is there like the
What we're
overtake
looking for.
champion like thingy still?
Yeah. That's what I was looking at for.
Oh, I didn't
It
know
does
that
look
was-
like Perez is going to win.
Yeah,
The most overtaken is Hulkenberg, which shouldn't come as a shock because he starts quite highly and then the tires fall off. So
that's not the greatest stat to have for my driver, but I mean,
Yeah.
that's just speaking for his car on the race day.
yeah, definitely. I love Hulkenberg. The least overtaken is Verstappen with 5. 4 in Singapore,
shock.
1 in Las Vegas.
Yeah, what a shock, honestly. Yeah, the other 4 overtakes were probably like
They
I
were
think
all
one-
Singapore.
yeah, one-
So
yeah, Singapore, one was in
Yeah.
Zandvoort, yeah, rest was in Singapore probably. Okay, that's impressive team, no points for us. Okay, moving on to the next roll prediction, because we still have the predictions to do. We kind of, well, we already live for over an hour, because this was I mean, to be fair, this race deserved to be a pretty long one.
yeah. I put the wrong shade there,
Okay.
but none of us get points.
Yeah, I mean, it's true. Mercedes, DNF, Williams didn't get all points, and neither did AlphaTauri, so yeah. Okay, do you want to break for 4 minutes or about that?
Yes, I do need to pee.
Okay. We can resume the predictions on, for you, it's 2:10 p.m. So, okay. Break for 4
Okay,
minutes.
see you then.
Okay, see you.